Let's run that back the right way. Bam. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Let's put the lemon into the water. What I do every single day. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for coming on in. Bitcoin, 67,000. Made a nice little scalp last night. Woke up to gains. Took my money. I'm already in profits on the Saturday morning. God is great. Life is good. Always have things to be grateful for. Shout out to all my lovely lifers out there. Shout out to everybody here in the live. Appreciate all of you for being here, sharing your most precious asset with me, and that is your time. Let's get that music back up and running, and let's get statted out here, kid, as they said in Boston. Let's get it statted, kids. Let's get it, kid. Let's do it. Let's do it, dude. Shout out to all my lovely people. God bless you all. Again, I probably said it earlier, but it's Saturday morning, and if you're still here grinding for crypto, we love you. We appreciate you. And it means you care about cryptocurrency and you're going to help us change the world. So I got the cream in the coffee. Bang, bang, bang. Love you, bro. Glad to hear on the beautiful day. Shout out to Tim Pearson. Shout out to Raw Dog. And shout out to Manny. Shout out to Paul Cockrell. Shout out to Stack McChange in the house. Who, how, when, where, and why. What's the word? Shout out to Stack McChange. Shout out to Toby McDonald. Crypto Ale. Shout out to Raphael Fernett. Lion Rune. Crypto Billy in the house, Mr. Billy. How you been, my friend? God bless you and yours, man. Hope everything's going well with your garden, your plants. And it's beautiful out here in sunny Florida, man. I pulled the move. I think about you a lot when I look outside. And I think about making my dreams happen. And shout out to Rave Song Records, man. Blessings on blessings. Are you in gains? Did you wake up in gains? And shout out to everybody here on the live. Let's talk about it. Let's break down Bitcoin like we do. Right now, we're looking at BOOKMAP. It's telling us where liquidity is likely going to go, not where it's going to go for sure, just where it likely may end up. And we do still have liquidity close enough and red enough at 67,008. So it suggests we still may go up a little more here. However, they've built some down. But look, the lowest liquidity now is 64K. Remember, they used to be all the way down at 53. They never got their $53,000, $52,000 Bitcoin. You had to buy whatever dip you could buy. Remember when I bought the dips? And people were like, but Sam, you keep saying it looks like it's going lower. But every time it's red, you keep opening up and buying more Bitcoin. And then you look back and you're like, dang, he said it might go lower, but he bought more Bitcoin. And when you look back, you're like, wow, he bought a lot of Bitcoin down there. I kept telling you anything below 65,000 was an absolute steal. And I consider that a blessing. Anyone who didn't, I think, was going to miss out. And I'm not saying that we did. Who knows? I may eat my words. We'll see. I'm open-minded to find out one step at a time. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. What I do know is I buy those red days. The nastier, the worse, the redder, the more I'm buying. So we got liquidity above us and below us. If you had a guess on it, at the end of the day, there's more liquidity below us, and it matches the liquidity. So it suggests we could go back to 64K. All right? But that's just, we'll take it one step at a time. Let me do my magic and see what happens with my TA, right? And we'll go from there. So if you're in my trading group last night, I don't know, trading view, you need to see where I'm at. If you were in my trading group last night, I talked about the 7-minute break into the upside. I gave this little flag, tight flag, even the 1 minute, and it did break up. And we ended up in nice gains at 67,400 with an entry around 66.9. So nice $500 pump for Bitcoin, giving some beautiful gains to the upside. I took profits right there when the second red candle started. It just looked like we may lose some gains, and it was a Saturday morning, and so we did. I got so much more to show you than this, so we're going to break it down. This rising wedge starting to make a move to the upside and so much more. But if you're just joining my channel, welcome. My name's Sam Price. I've been trading for since I was 24 years old. The first 2 or 3 years, I was just touching, going in and out, buying stuff. I had no idea really what I was doing. But then I started looking at charts when I was around 27, 28 years old, and I'm 41 now. And I've done trading groups. I've played with all the different indicators that are out there. And I've come back to my own little system here using moving averages and the free indicators you can add on the premium software for TradingView. All right. And here we stand together after all the time I've been through. And I've been up and down. I've traded the New York Stock Exchange. I traded the Toronto Stock Exchange. Gold and silver mining stocks is really how I got started. So my first big win was with a silver mining stock. And got into marijuana stocks, which ended up changing my life. And then I ended up finding Bitcoin, and the rest is history. And so, and I found Ethereum before Bitcoin, and I started playing with altcoins on Bittrex. If anyone ever put your hand up, put a 111 in the comments if you know what Bittrex is. and you were a Bittrex OG, you can't even, I don't think you can trade it in the US anymore. And definitely not in New York City. So that happened fast. Anyway, so right here, I see a rising wedge for Bitcoin. Rising wedges break down 68% of the time, right? But if they break out parabolically. So it either means we're getting a nice little pullback to the beginning of the wedge. So 68% of the time, which is most of the time, they're going to come back down to their, so you're going to see a revisit of 64.8 for whatever reason. That's just what the chart says. I'm not saying that's guaranteed to happen, but that's just what the chart says. Now, if they break out, this thing could just go on a parabolic run and rip up to 72.8. It's interesting. Did you see the liquidity hiding up there at 73,000? But there's a bro out here, like there, or gal, we don't know, but there's someone with a bunch of, they want to sell 864 Bitcoin at about 73,000. Pretty interesting, right? So now we're starting to get those orders creeping in. Just, I'm not saying, oh my gosh, that's a guaranteed order. It's going to happen for sure. It could be spoofed. The whole thing is, we didn't see that like when we were back at, 61, 62. So little things start to trickle in, and you start to see a change in the environment of liquidity. And that even happens there on BOOKMAP. So BOOKMAP even drops just little tiny little gems for you to see. All right. Shout out to everybody here. If you want to jump into class, I teach class. All right. Today. That's right. Today. Now you can't hit the link anymore because the link works after 24 hours. It doesn't work, it doesn't work automatically, but I do teach class from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. today. It's going to be an amazing course. I can't wait to do it. I put a lot into it. It takes a lot out of me. I can't wait, but we make sure we cover the basis and we have a good time. And it really helps me see what's happening for Bitcoin too. And so what I want you to realize is the class puts everything in a line that I teach. Gives you a checklist and a step-by-step process to go by. All the stuff that I'm showing you on the live stream may be a little too fast or on different time frames. It explains what I'm doing on these different time frames, and I really think it breaks down so much that once you see it, so if you still want to get into class right now, you're like, what am I waiting on? Why don't I just email cryptolifers at Gmail. I'll type it in, email cryptolifers. We always get some people that come in on the last minute. It happens every time. So email cryptolifers at gmail.com, and my wife will be ready. And if you want to jump into class, she will take she'll take your payment and put you into class. All right. PayPal, cryptocurrency, all that. Real easy. So anyway, back to shilling my class, but I just really think it's an amazing class. And I put my all into it, and I believe everyone that's taken it has given me a lot of good feedback. So I continue to do that class live. You also don't get a lot of live classes anymore. Everything is pre-recorded, or so I pride myself on doing something that really you don't see anymore. Nobody wants to do live courses because it's hard. You got to be there. You got to put in the work. Everyone wants passive money. They want to record one thing and just get it. But to be live with people, to show them what's going on, I think it makes a connection, and there's something more to that. So, okay, let's get into Bitcoin. Enough yapping. Apologize. You don't come here for the yapping. But so far, so good for the Bitcoin over here, right? Weekly is about to close a bullish engulfer above 65.5. And that's all little Sammy wants for Christmas. All right? That's it. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking step by step, little by little. Let's get a candle close above that weekly support or resistance at 65,500. Let's call it. And if we close above that, we're closing above it nicely. And then I just want to see us break 67.2. I don't want to be too greedy. If we can get 67.2, it would be great too. And that's where these two candles closed, right? 67.225 is where it opened. So those are my two big deals, right? As long as, once we lose 65.5 again, then I'm going to start looking at 60K one more time. But we really held, if you stuck to the weekly like we did every single day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, I went over the weekly. which I didn't do this. I'll tell you what, I traded for 6-7 years where I looked at the weekly once or twice a month. The weekly was such a big chart to me that it like scared me. Like I didn't I was like, oh wow, like what am I gonna do with that? I was so young in the markets, I didn't have a lot of time. Once you have 10 years, like I've been watching Bitcoin now since about 2016, 2017. So I've been watching Bitcoin 7 years of my life. I mean, I've watched, so the weekly means something to me. Like I can see my life in this weekly. I remember when I waited for this run and we got up, and then I remember this pain of this. This was an interesting time in my life, 2018, you know, and the charts will, you always remember, like I remember where I was the day this happened, this dump here, you know. I remember buying this high here at work and then watching it come down on Litecoin. You know, it's just interesting. Like I remember calling this inverted head and shoulder. I remember drawing this and saying we're going to break out, and we did. Like I remember calling this bounce here, and we did bounce, right? I remember calling the bearish divergence. We were away from the 21, and we did come back to the 21, just like this. See how we came back to the 21? It was the same. That's why if we ever break the 21, like what, you know what I mean? There's a what if. This is a top, you know? But now that the weekly's reset, you know, see here when we did it, we were really high on the stochastics, and when we reset on the stochastics, we came down. Then we came up and made a lower low. We're making a lower high when the stochastics reset. This is an uptrend. See, like you got to understand how to retrend. So when people tell you stuff like, so basically for us for this to not be a bull run, we have to basically break this low and go back below the 200 SMA on the weekly, in my humble opinion. You know, or at least like the 3-day or the daily. Break that 200 SMA. Then, you know, then you'll get me, okay, you know, because you have a low, you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high, you have a higher low. You boom, you go in, you make a lower high, a lower low, right? And then you would make a lower high, and then you'd be done, right? So to me, like that's the uptrend we got, and you're still in a beautiful trend. So even if we were going to come down, and I kept saying that to 43 or all this other stuff, unless we went all the way to 30K, which I thought was ridiculous, like we would have broken this low right there. And to me, that is not, that's a breaking trend, right? So that's the difference. Even though these are both away from the 21-day moving average, the difference is this is creating, you know, this high came down. You broke the 21, number one. Now, if we break the 21 and we go below it, that's going to be a different story. You know? But so far, we'll take it one. So that's why you have to take it one day at a time. Like I'm open-minded to think that it's not all gravy, and we could just double top here, and we may come down. You know what I mean? That you have to be open-minded. It's unlikely. It's more likely this rally continues, but like that's what we want to believe. And if we feed into what we want to believe every single time, that will be our habit. And if that's our habit, one day we're just going to be like, yeah. And that's not what's going to happen, is it? It's the market's going to change on us. So it's better off that we create a habit. And this is why, you know, I learned from the people that taught me and watching traders ahead of me. They always were like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. And I'd always be like, come on, man, you know what's going to happen. Like, you're a good trader. Like, you showed me the market. Like, and they were always more cautious than I was. Like, I was always like, yeah, it's going to go up, like, or it's going to go down, you know. Now I know nothing but the fact about ignorance. Like, you get to this state, and if you listen to Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, and you get really, really into your trades and the mentality of trading more than anything else, right? So this is a bullish engulfing candle on Bitcoin. Lack of bearish momentum on the MACD, you know, the fact that it's already white after too little, you know, that's interesting. That tells me there could be a massive move here for Bitcoin, especially on the weekly. I've studied that for a long time. Those are the things I look for. 3-day chart looking absolutely amazing. Its second candle opening bullish and looking like it wants to make a bigger move to the upside. So a little bit of resistance right here. Once it breaks, that's what I'm telling you. Once we break that 67,200 level, call it 225, you know, once we break 67,225, we're gone. Like, I just don't see how we don't then come tussle with 60, right? We'll come tussle with this level here, like 69,000, and then like we're into the all-time highs. This to me is a falling wedge breaking to the upside, bull flag breaking to the upside. Very bullish on the 3-day chart. Very, very bullish. defying a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. It was there. 32% of the time, it's not going to break out. We got a miracle there, right? And we ended up calling that long. If you remember, on Thursday night in my weekly screen share, if you were with me, we were there on the 1 second chart, right? 30-second chart. And we ended up seeing just doing the same things over and over again. See, I don't even know. I become a robot who just looks for the 1 minute divergence, back to the two, and you just get into this process of the same thing. And then eventually you're the guy that caught the bottoms. You get what I'm saying? You get into the process of being so stuck in the TA that eventually that habitual process catches I hope everyone, you know what I mean? The habitual process catches the bigger move. Like you always buy when the 200 breaks above the, so then you wait for the 8 hour to break above the 200, like right here, and you open up, and you wait. And that could be the biggest trade of your life. That might end up being huge, and you catch the big, you just did the same thing over and over again, but one time or 3 times. And that's what people don't realize too. You scalp, and then, if you can catch a big one, like a couple grand in a runner, my gosh, you could turn 2-3 grand into 50 grand. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to it took me a long time to make gains and to figure out the market. So I don't want to ever say, be a get rich quick channel. That's not how it is. It takes a long time. But once your skills are precise and you know what you're doing, man, the market becomes a lot more interesting and fun to play. So 3-day chart looks good. Then I look at the daily chart. All right. And you can see definitely a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, definitely a breakout. And then you just have to respect wick to wick. I take wick to wick and put it where the neckline would be. Basically, you kind of have something there, and it just tells you that Bitcoin's going somewhere to 71.5, right? That's its next resistance. 71,592 right there on the daily. So we just got to break above this 67,200 level. We break through this level, and we're gone. We're going to start to move. And it could happen today. Even though it's a Saturday, there's a lot of bullishness going on. We had a lot of bullish news in the last 10 days for Bitcoin. Almost every bank came out and had to say that they owned Bitcoin, and it was pretty interesting to see what happened. And my wife even was like, "Is this just real? Am I reading all this correctly?" And I was like, "No, for sure." And look, I kept saying to you, as long as we stay above the 2, once we got below this, it wasn't good, but we got back above it within just a day and a half. And as long as we don't go below the 200 SMA here, we're golden. And to me, it's now about that 8 hour. The 8 hour broke above the 200. You see a bullish cross coming. That's very, very bullish for Bitcoin. I'm telling you, I front run this stuff. I use the moving averages in a different way. I see the future with them. Whenever they start to get tight, whenever I saw back here, when I saw the 50 curving up to, I told my students, look, that's a front run. Tight moving averages. Usually you're going to get them above the point of control, lower stochastics. Lack of bearish momentum in the MACD. Small hill on the MACD. Look at that. It tells you something big is coming here for Bitcoin. The moving averages tell you what's going to happen. All my indicators tell you what's going to happen with about I say a 90% accuracy. We caught this long. I caught off every long that happened. If you were with me and you've been watching my channel, you caught flag after flag, move after move, because this is tight moving averages right there. I trade that. That's what I go for. Whenever the moving averages are getting tight, I'm getting ready, right? And you can see now that once you break below and back above an 8 hour, it's really the price action getting tight around the moving average. It's creating that tight bond with the 8 hour time frame. And then if you look at the last times that you broke above the 8 hour, right here, gone. That was it. If you made that trade, you were gone. You could have held that. This one too. So I opened up a pretty big trade. I'm up nicely right now. We'll see. This trade from last night still in the green. But this trade's up 290, up 10%. I put 2,600 in the trade at 14x leverage. It's about a half a Bitcoin in there, right? So, yeah. And I want to see this, and that's the USD pair. See, what I'm doing is I'm trading the coin M and the USD M, right? That way the coin M, I have my long-term trade open, and the USD M, I can make my small scalps, you see? So that way I can be scalping here. But this trade we gave last night, you can see it was in this tight channel. We eventually did break out, and it's still in the money. This trade is still from the entry somewhere around 668, 669. Went to a high of 673, but it's still in the money right here at 67, 176, right? I took my profits out of this trade, right? But there could be some more, and that's what I want to see. We're going to get to that. So the 8 hour looks bullish to me. Yes, the stochastics get high, but that's what happens when you break above a 200. The indicators get a little pressed, and you should see a bigger short squeeze on the long-term trend. So now what's happening is price action's trending up while the RSI is trending down. One of the most bullish signs you've ever seen in your life, in my humble opinion. Okay? And what we can do is we can do two things. We can make that rising wedge like we talked about, which could go parabolic in my humble opinion. We have to be mindful that it could break to the downside. The measured move would take us right back down to about 65.5. We retest that exact area. Pull this a little low right here, right? Previous resistance, wicked up there, bounced right there, chunk right there, we bounce right there, and we know it's the weekly support or resistance, right? You could almost say, is that a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder? And I'd be willing to say yes. And we would go the length of the pole, right? And when you just had a golden cross on the 4 hour time frame, it does suggest that a move is coming. Now, I've seen dumps after the golden cross, but it says like 2 weeks from now, highly likely you're going to be higher up. So this could be a nice play here when we look at the 4 hour time frame. And the 4 hour has been actually a really good time frame to play recently. It's been respecting all levels and doing what it has to do. So we put our stop below the low of the pattern because we know that support or resistance below the weekly 65.5, and we can hang out at 64.930, and we go for the move to 72.9, right? For like basically to the all-time high. And so this very well may get stopped out. This is something I might open up on a long-term idea. You see what I mean? All right. Like I'll hold this for hopefully 3 to 8 days at the something like that, and it should pay off. It's higher risk. And you can just see the stop loss and everything right there on the screen. Once you analyze the chart, right, you'll see it. Oh, what I like to do actually is put them nicely with a... See, one day I was like, what would help me if I was a beginner? And I said, well, this would help, right? Like having these big yellow markers for like entry, stop loss, take profit, And again, like take profit is really up to the individual. Like how big are you up? How fast are you? I take profit when I'm up faster. Like say if I'm in a trade, I might trade all day and I'm up 300, but I might milk it. But say I get into a trade and like 20 minutes later and I'm up $500. I'll tell you what, 80% of the time I didn't take money that happened because that usually meant it was a short squeeze that's coming back to the 21-day moving average. Like it was like a... So I remind myself of the technicals when I see the emotion. So now when I feel the emotion of a fast, hot trade, I tell myself, you're probably far away from the 21. Even if I don't see it, and I might take that profit. I see the money, I might just take your profit. It's an interesting concept, right? And it shows how trading changes your mind. It changes the way you think. If you let it, you'll become, honestly, I know it's weird, but you'll become a different person. You can, if you truly let trading in and you become a trader, a true trader, it'll change who you are for the rest of your life. There's no way you will not be the same person for the rest of your life. Who here knows what I'm saying? Put a 333 if you know what I'm saying. Right? So now we have to balance the 1 hour though. That looks like it's double topping for sure. Right? At about 67.2. Like it's hitting my, 67.280. It's hitting resistance. Double topping right at my key area. So we need to see this flip. We need to see the small time frames get busy here and somehow channel a reaction. Right now, it looks like the 1 hour wants to just, wants to take all the air out the room for now and possibly start the move to the downside. So we had this little flag, weird little flag, but it did its job. Felt like we even broke out. We retested and then we pumped again. Now we need to see the 15-minute like do some magic real quick. The 15 minutes gotta dance. You know what I mean? Trading has definitely changed my life, and not even money-wise only. Yeah, it gave me so much patience in other parts of my life. You know, I realized that nothing was gonna come for free. That I was gonna work it made me realize how hard I was gonna have to work to get somewhere. You know, if you really want to become a profitable trader and be able to like come home to your wife or become home to your husband or whatever your significant other, and you want to say, hey, look, I made us enough to go on that vacation, or, you know, because people want to make gains. Everyone says they want to make gains and they want Bitcoin, but what do you want Bitcoin for? At the end of the day, for lifestyle, for lifestyle changes, like everyone wants to, you know, the picture of the house overlooking the beach with the beautiful pool, right? So you can have all your family and friends over, and everybody, I believe, desires that, you know, quote unquote perfect life. Like, they desire to be rich, but they desire to be rich to spend the money on things that make them happy, right? That's really what, at the end of it's to spend, man, at the end of the day, right? You can't, like, you can stare at your money all day long. It doesn't really do much for you, right? And to create memories and time, you know, go on trips with your family. I went to Niagara Falls with my wife and kid. I remember that. We had enough, you know, we took a drive. It wasn't that expensive, but we had enough. Life was good. I was off of work for the time. And we took a trip up to, and, you know, I always remember that. Like, you know, and yeah, it cost us some money, I guess, in gas and tickets and all that, and hotel. But it was worth it, right? It was a good time. I'm a 22-year-old who's battling the matrix because of trading. It teaches discipline. You know, if I started when I was 22, like seriously, like, because I got into, like, when I was 22, I was still in college running around. Couldn't get me to sit down in front of a screen. Like, when I did, I was doing video editing, you know, and I was working on my video editing. We're looking for this flag to break out on the 15-minute. That's really the key for today. 7 minutes, a little oversold too. It could give us a bounce, but they're not looking amazing. So here's the deal. If the 7-minute loses the 200, then you know you're in, and you lose this point of control, then you know you're in a short situation where the 1 hour's taken over. And you're likely going to start, like, that's going to be an indication that you're going to press at least down to 65.8. And from there, you might even get low, you know, to the bottom of this channel at 64.7, you know, and you might even test here 65.2. So watch the 7-minute today. I would keep the 7-minute up on a screen. If you're trading, or, you know, you're walking through the house and you're going to be like doing chores or whatever, put it on a TV screen. You know, put your laptop up, connect it, put it on a screen, and as you're walking by, just, you know, every 20, 30 minutes, check on it if you want to trade today, or if you want to just check on price action and learn. A lot of this stuff is just learning, everybody. Observing through learning. Like, you don't have to watch it every minute of the day. You just have to check it once every couple of hours to get in the fact of, like, watching what your projections are. To understand projections, you got to understand small time frames, and to be on small time frames, you got to watch them a little bit more. That's the key. I learned a lot that they know, the market makers and the people, that there's beautifulness, but they know most people will never have the discipline or the focus to be able to understand the small time frames on a large scale, to spend hours and hours and hours and hours on the 1 minute chart, right? But if you've been with me, then you've seen me just do hours just on the live stream on the 1 minute. We've done hours together, right? I check it out every day now. It's interesting. It's been incorporated into my lifestyle. Look, when we broke above we broke above, beautiful trade. If you caught this move above the 200 SMA, we broke below it. And right when we break above it, if you caught that again, gone. Like, if you just take that signal every time, I break above it, I'm trading. Stop loss below. That's a win. It comes, you know, you take your profits when the Stokes are high. You know what I mean? If you get a win, as I said, that would have been money real fast. I'm out. Right? And then you could just rinse and repeat. And then once it got back up here, you do the same thing. And that would have paid you. You could still be in that trade technically, but once it loses the 200, you should get out. Like, that's kind of how this system works. In right there, out right there, still a nice win, because you'd be in around like 66.9 and you'd be out at around 67.2. But if you weren't greedy and you went out and you just got, I mean, once it went to 67.4, that would have been fast money, Anyway, so the 200 has been lost on the 1 minute, not my favorite sign. And so we look for the 200 to be lost on the 7. If we don't lose it on the 7, there's a big chance we're going to win and this trade's going to move out. So the 7 minute to me is the key to a lot today, because say you break out, you go sideways, the 1 minute eventually gets its rounded move, and then we get oversold 1 minute, the curve, and 1 hour, and the 1 hour. What you're looking for is to tame the 1 hour. Have it either come up, double top up here and curve, or come down and curve, you know what I mean? Without somehow losing the previous low. That's the key to this trade today, or to the confirmation of when to enter. So very, very aggressive to enter right now. It could be an amazing move to do, but it's the aggressive entry, right? It has higher risk to it. If we see the 7 minute bounce a little bit and we consolidate in the cone of this rising wedge, it's a little more confirmation. You break back above this little resistance right here that we've have at 67.2. You break that weekly support like I'm talking about, right? I emailed Jermaine. I hope I can still hop into class. If not, next month for sure. No, you could definitely hop into class. There's time. Yeah. And with that, everyone, I'm going to jump on out to give me 15 minutes to kind of prepare for class. But I'm watching for this 15-minute flag on the 7 minute to break to the upside. That's really going to be our move today. That's going to be our confirmation. If this flag breaks out, it's kind of a slanted cup, but it's not the best. I've never seen you make real trades. Like, for example, why is this? I only see you. I make real trades every day on the live stream, so you never watch me. Just ridiculous. Yeah. How many people here have made me have seen me make a live trade? How many people here have made me see a live trade? Put a 333 in the comment if you made me if you've seen me make a live trade on the live stream. What is this dude talking about? Yeah, he's like, I've never seen you. Then you've never watched the channel, man. Look at this. So something's weird, right? I shouldn't even why don't I listen to this stuff? Anyway. Yesterday I made 4, and again, you join my trading group if you want to know all my live trades. Like, I don't trade every day exactly. Also, like, I may have way more money than you've even thought. Like, I'm not trying to show you all my money, man. I'm done with this. Anyway. Saying being out of a trade is rare. Yeah, I'm always in a trade, right? Anyway. I don't know why I shouldn't listen. Do you even own crypto? Thanks for everything you do. Shout out to Steven Campione. God bless you, Steven. Shout out to Discotech NYC in the house. We love you. We appreciate you. Shout out to my sister, Michelle. God bless you, Michelle. I thank you for everything. My sister's the best. I have the best family, man. I may have lost my mom and dad, which has really been hard with Mother's Day and my dad's passing. It's kind of weird, like my dad passing and then Mother's Day, right? But, I have great family in my life. I have 2 sisters that I love so much. And Michelle, I love you with all my heart. Only talk about what you know, word of the day, right? Those who say don't know. Those who know don't say, right? Everybody, I love you. I appreciate you. Watch that 200 on the 7. If the 7 loses that 200, I'm telling you, it could be the beginning of a nice little dump easy down to 65.8. Maybe even down to the beginning of the channel at 64.6. So, and there is some liquidity down there. It's not like there's no liquidity down there on the BOOKMAP. So, I love you, everybody. Thank you for being here. I got to jump on into class in 12 minutes and teach for 3 hours. But I can't wait. I'm going to have a blast. And, hey, I might see you in there. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you on the live stream tonight at 8 p.m. Blessings on blessings. Thank you. Gratitude, baby.